Dear student, I am Dr. Vishal Kumar Lahiri, Institute of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University. We were discussing the part 3, and in the part 3, we have thoroughly understand the different practices given by some of the management thinkers. And in the part 4, we will be discussing about the planning and decision making. So from part 4 onwards, we will be having an in-depth understanding about the functions of the management. Just to summarize the things we have studied so far, in the part 1, we have discussed about the nature and concept of the management. We have an idea about what management as a discipline is. In the part 2, we have discussed about how the management as a concept has originated. What are the different approaches for the management? And we have discussed the 3 approaches. One is, very first one, the classical approach. Second is the neoclassical approach, or we call it as a behavioral approach as well. And the third one is the modern approach. So by the end of unit 1 or the part 1 and part 2, we have an in-depth knowledge about what is management and from where it has originated. In the part 3, we have thoroughly discussed about the management thinkers, the pioneer in the field of the management, like the concept of MBO given by Peter Drucker. We have discussed the bottom of the pyramid by Professor C.K. Prahalad and some other prominent theories. So that has helped us in understanding the concept of the management in more details. Now in part 4, we will be starting the functions of the management. We know the basic function of the management is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So in part 4, we will be having a detailed understanding about planning and decision making. So in module 16, we will be discussing about the basic concept of the planning, what is planning, why planning is very important, what are the characteristics in the planning, what are the steps required in the planning, and what are the limitation and the importance of the planning. So this module will give you an idea about the fundamental of the planning as a function. So in this module, you will be getting a fundamental knowledge about what is planning. Now starting with the very basic concept of the planning. Planning, if we have to give a very basic definition, whenever we plan an activity. So what are the things we do for any kind of activity or any kind of objective we set? We need to have some kind of backhand work. Like suppose you plan to buy a new laptop. Okay, so laptop that you will be purchasing, it will be like in the upcoming sale, you are planning to purchase a laptop. So what are the different kind of planning you will be doing? So as a student, you need to know about which will be the best model to purchase for, because you are purchasing a laptop which you will be using for 3 to 4 years. At the same time, you will be investing too much of money. So you need to purchase the best model for yourself. So planning is like any kind of action or future course of action to attain a particular objective. Okay, as you can see in the slide, planning is a blueprint of the course of action to be followed in the future. So planning is always done for the future. That is for sure. Like in the case of purchase of the laptop, you are purchasing a laptop in the upcoming sale, which is going to be after 1 month. Okay, so you are doing all your activities in the backhand regarding the specification of the laptop, price, you are having the budget. All right, you are taking some of the references of your friends as well. You are comparing the different models. So you are doing it in the present, but for the purpose of the future event. All right, so planning is a blueprint of the course of action to be followed in the future. It is also a mental exercise that requires imagination, foresight, and sound judgment. So now move from the basic example to the manager. You are suppose a manager. So manager required too much of information before any activity is planned, or for planning the activity, different spectrum of the information are required. Okay, so it need mental evaluation, mental analysis of the manager, and foresightedness. Foresightedness means the manager should have the vision to look into the future course of action, like what are the different kind of external factor that could influence their planning processes. Take one example. Suppose a manager is planning to launch a new product in the market. So the manager will be having an in-depth knowledge about what could be the change in the political factor, what could be the change in the economical factor that is actually influencing their plan activity. So this shows the foresightedness of the manager. All right, and sound judgment as well, because sound judgment in terms of capital is very limited, the money is very scarce, so manager has to select the very best option for the decision making or for the planning purposes. Like as a student, you have taken the best model, and because there are too many models available in the market, why don't you purchase all the model? Because of the scarcity of the money. Okay, so you do a sound judgment with respect to the various parameters. What are your requirements? What are your budgets? All right, and select one of the best. So this is the sound judgment of your decision capabilities. It is a thinking before doing. Obvious, like in planning activity is like you are doing the mental analysis, you are looking for some of the alternatives, comparing the alternatives before making the final decision. It is preparatory step and refers to the detailed program regarding the future course of action. So planning is always done for the future course of action. Second point, planning is cognitive activity that requires manager to engage thoughtful consideration before taking the action. So planning is a cognitive activity, like we have understood in the level of management in the unit 1 or the part 1 regarding the role and responsibility of the top manager. So one of the responsibilities or one of the duties of the top manager was to like plan the activities. So why the top manager are given the responsibility? Because they need to cognitively like screen all the factors that could influence the activity or the planned activity or the objective that you are setting in the planning stage at the present and at the future, in the future as well. All right, so it requires your mental capabilities, your skills, your intellect, all these come into the picture whenever you are doing any planned activity. So a manager in an organization use planning to determine task, timing, method, and assign the responsibilities. So the managers are given the responsibility like for any kind of planned activity that they are organizing or they are thinking of. So they will be specifically determining what should be the time period, what should be the method that you will be using, all right, and assigning the responsibilities. Okay, now this is the concept of the planning. We have got an understanding that planning is something which we do for the future course of action. All right, planning requires some mental analysis. Planning requires some detailing regarding the time, the method, and responsibility assigned to the different employees. Okay, so now we are in position to define planning. Okay, so based on some of the author or based on Kuntz and O'Donnell, planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and who is to do it. So 4 element is very essential regarding the planned activity or the future course of activity. What to do, that specify your objective. Suppose an organizational objective is that the smartphone company want to launch a new model which is very good at the camera specification. So the objective is to launch a very high-end technological product which is having very good camera. So this is the objective of the company. Second is how to do it. It means how they will be like making sure that the technology is very good. Okay, so they may be making a collaboration with some of the very good marketers or some good manufacturer of the camera lens. As you can see, like many companies are making the collaboration. Like in some of the smartphone, like OnePlus, they use the camera of Hasselblad. So that will give you a very good competitive edge because you are using very specific camera for your smartphone. So how to do it is the methodology part, how you will be able to perform better. Alright, so this is also a part of the planning. Third one is when to do it. When to do it exemplify your time factor. If you have not launched your product in like certain time or specific time, then you will not be able to get the first mover advantage, because some other company may be launching that product and they will be exploiting the market and customer will be moving towards those companies. So timing is also very important, that within the time frame the activity should be completed. Next is where you want to go is with respect to the vision of the company. Vision of the company, like if you are launching a new smartphone with a very good camera, where the market will be reaching out. Okay, what could be the new thing you will be launching in the coming time? Okay, it could be that you are launching currently you are launching with a very good camera. In the next planning stage, you could be like enhancing the audio quality. All right, so this is how the planning activity are defined. Based on the definition of the Kuntz and O'Donnell, planning is deciding in advance of what to do, how to do it, when to do, who is to do it. It bridges the gap between where we are, where we want to go. Okay, so planning is something like a bridge that will like accelerate your performances. The company want to like increase the sales of their smartphone, so they use the planning activity and launching a new product. Now, from where the company is, if the product becomes successful, the company may go to the higher standards. So this is planning. Also, it makes it possible for things to occur which could not otherwise happen. So until unless you have a sound planning, you will not be able to achieve your ultimate objective. So by the end of this slide, we have a clear understanding about the concept of the planning, and we have also defined planning through the definition of Kuntz and O'Donnell. Now moving beyond, once we have understood the concept and the definition of the planning, we will be now having a highlight about the nature of planning. What are the characteristics of the planning? What are the different kind of element that makes the planning activities? As you can see in the slide, one of the very first feature of the planning is the primary function of the management. Primary function means that it is the very first function of the total management function which set the stage for all the activities. Like planning, until unless, suppose in the planning phase, you will be deciding the different objectives, mission, vision, your overall structure of the product, who could be the target audiences, how you are going to manufacture the product, So all the activities will be decided in the planning phase. Alright, so this is the very first function in the management, and it is with respect to the planning of all the activities for the future purposes. Now second is, it is pervasive in nature. Pervasiveness means it is present everywhere. It is not like planning will be required in the like development of your objective, in the process of recruitment. It is always present, and it is you will felt the requirement of the planning at each and every activity that you are performing. Okay, and planning is used by your the top level employees, the middle level employees, and your supervisory level employees as well. Even the day-to-day activities require some sound planning, from where you are purchasing the raw material, all right, how you will be able to use the existing source of the fund, how you will making the payment to the creditors. So all this will be requiring the planned activity. It may be the intensity of the plan could be high to medium to low, but at the same time planning is always present at all levels of the management. Third one, planning is futuristic and forward planning, or the forward looking. Planning is futuristic. By the concept and the definition, we have an idea that planning is done for the future course of action. It is not done for the present. If you're doing it for the present, the planning things or the activity will not give you the true results. Alright, so planning is always forward looking. You decide the activity today of what you are going to conduct in the upcoming days. So this is the nature of the planning. Next is, it is a continuous process. Like once you plan, then you execute the plan, you take the controlling process, and you get an idea that where we require some kind of improvements. So this is a one process, but at the same time, in the controlling process, you get an idea about the product performance was not so good. Like take the last example, the company is launching a new smartphone with very high-end camera. Now the company done all the activity in a very planned manner. They launched the product also got hit, all right, but product was not the sales was not as expected, and the management get an idea that because of the some high price factor, the product was not so consumed as expected in the market. Okay, so this become the output of for the improvement. So now you will be again doing the planning activity, that how the price of the product can be reduced so that maximum consumers can be able to afford my product. So this is a continuous process. Again, you will be setting up the objective. Again, you will be measuring the any kind of deviation, and again you will be getting some output. A new project will be undertaken. So it is a continuous process. It is not like you have planned an activity and that's the thing. Okay, so it is an ongoing process. Planning involves decision making. Planning and decision makings are go hand on hand. Once you plan, okay, in the planning stage, you decide what are the objectives. First of all, you decide what the problem that the organization is facing, and based on that, the planning or objective formulation will be done. In the last example, what was the problem that the company was facing? That product is very good, but the sales is not as expected. So this is the problem for the company. If suppose only 20% of the target audience is purchasing your product, it means the total revenue is not as you expected. So your objective should be that at least 60 to 70% of the total consumers or the total target customer will at least try your product. So you need to increase the sales, and this is one of the problems. Okay, so for solving these kind of conceptual problem, you require very good sound planning as well as the decision at the different process part. The decision regarding whether this plan is feasible or not, the decision regarding who could be the supplier, decision regarding what are the different alternates available and how we are going to select the various alternates. Okay, so planning and decision making is like goes together, and it will help in achieving the objective for the organizations. Last one is planning contributes to the objective. Like planned activity are done for the purpose of goal accomplishment. Like at the planning stage, the company will be deciding what their objective is. So planning and objective, like planned activities are directly related to the objective part. We can say that the planned activity is the first step and accomplishment of the objective is the last step. And again, when you take the last step, you move towards the first step. Again planning, because planning is an ongoing process. So planning and objective both are interrelated. So these are the characteristics of the planning, and planning comes with some merits as well, and it gives advantages to the organization. So in this slide, we'll be discussing about the importance of the planning. Now, what are the different benefits that the organizations are getting if they are doing the planned activity? Very first one is the formed goals, or you have an idea about the objective. So once the management decide the various activities or the problem identification of problem, then they will be doing the planned activity, and the planned activity will be starting with your derivation of your objectives. All right, so planning activity will help you in development of your goals or your objective. Second is it gives direction. Like if you have a clear path of what you are going to do in the future, so there will be less clutter, and it will be more coordinated efforts or coordinated part for the employees to work on, or they get a blueprint of what they need to perform in the future. So this will give a direction to the employees that they will be having the like the mission, or they will be having an idea about where they want to go. So this brings the clarity in the direction. Third one is tackle uncertainty. So when you cannot completely avoid the uncertainty factor. Uncertainty factor will be there, and it will be there because of some external and the internal factors. We have discussed about the external factors, internal factors. So tackles uncertainty means somehow planning activity will be helpful in minimizing the uncertainty. Okay, it will not completely remove the uncertainty. Like take the same example, the company want to launch a new product with good camera. Now, when the company decided the objective, it was based on the assumption that no company is having such technology in the market. So this give an idea or objective that company should launch a new product. But the moment the company was about to launch the new product, some other company launched the similar kind of the product. Okay, so the company was certain that no one is having that technology in the market, but somehow the uncertainty arises because you will not be able to control the competitors. These are the part of the external factor. So planning activity will help you in tackling some of the uncertainty, minimizing duplication of the work and wasteful activities. When you are doing the planned activity, chances of overlapping or duplication of the work will be reduced by the employees because they have the clear direction about what they are going to perform. Facilitate coordination. Since it gives the direction and the clarity of work to the employee and to the all levels of the management, it will bring coordination among the employee because they have the clear understanding about their roles and responsibilities, duties to be performed. So everyone in the organization knows what the activities that is required to be completed and the time frame as well. So every department will be coordinated towards accomplishment of the planned activity. Support and promote innovative ideas as well. The moment you are planning the activity and it is communicated to each level of the management, the more and more insightful ideas can be generated, and it will be helpful for the company to like add some new element within the existing product. Okay, so these are some of the importance of the planning. Characteristics of the sound plan, it means what should be the few feature. Briefly we'll be discussing objective oriented, like planned activity should be matching with the your objective of the organization. All the direction, all the activities should be linked towards accomplishment of the objective. If there is any kind of deviation from the planned activity and the objective of the organization, then there will be clutter in the future. Second is clear, logical and simple. The planned activity or the planning should be as simple as that. Okay, it should not be too much of complex. Okay, it should be based on some logical aspect, so that the employees within the organization will be able to comprehend your planned activity. Ultimately, it will be the employees who will be like performing the planned activity. So they need to have a clear understanding about all the activities to be performed in the future. Controllable as well, like sometimes the planned activity become totally uncontrollable. Like any change in the external factor will give you the scope that your plan need to be changed. Okay, so a good planned activity should be able to cope up with the change in the external factors as well. All right, like the existing example that we have taken about the smartphone. If any new company launched the smartphone before the launch of the existing company that we were discussing, then the company should have plan B as well, like how to differentiate your product with the competitor's product. Next is the flexibility. Plan should be flexible enough to cope up with the change in the external factor, that is controllable or uncontrollable factors. Okay, so your plan should not be so rigid that you are not able to make any modification in the plan. Stable as well, like plan should be stable for a longer period of time. It is not like you have planned an activity and it is for 3 months, 6 months. It should have the capacity to like attract the consumers for longer period of time. And last one is complete and integrated. The planned activities should be integrated. Should be integrated with whom? It should be integrated with all the functions of the management. Okay, like your planned activities should be able to integrate with the organizing function, staffing function, your directing function, so that there should be least or the minimum deviation in the output. So these are some of the characteristics of the sound plan. Next is the process part. Process part is the different kind of steps required when you are doing the planned activity. As you can see in this slide, there are different processes or the different steps. In total, 7 steps are required in the planning activity. Very first one is setting the objectives. Setting objectives, once you have identified the problem in the organization and you are very much clear about the reasons for the problem are so and so and so. Okay, you decide the objective of the company or the that particular project. Objective could be anything. Okay, we take another example to understand the concept of the planning. Suppose in the current situation where the environment is facing so much a problem, or the air pollution, water pollution is increasing and new diseases are arising because of the instability in the environment. Okay, now this is the problem which the world is facing. Now, any company is launching or thinking of how the problem of the world problem can be tackled with our some kind of product, okay, that we call as a green product. Now, taking the automobile industry, where some companies are manufacturing the electric cars. So electric cars or electric vehicles is somehow good for the environment because they are not polluting the environment. So companies like Tata Motors and Mahindra, they are like having a very large project and very futuristic project regarding the launch of the electric cars. They are currently having some models. So this is the objective. This will become the objective of the company. Like in the upcoming 10 years, we will be like trying to shift towards to electric vehicles rather than from the petrol or the diesel vehicle. Okay, so this problem can be solved by using our product. So this is the objective of the company. Now, planning premises. Planning premises are the external factor influencing your planned activity. Okay, so identification of those factors are very much important. Like companies like Tata Motors, they are having a very good models of the electric vehicles. Okay, now it will be based on external factor as well. Like how external factor, political factor, take into consideration political factor, how the government is promoting this idea. So the government is giving subsidies to the consumers if you are purchasing any kind of electric vehicles. So it is in matching with the planned activity. Third one is alternate source of action. What could be the alternate source of action? Like if the company think of plan B. Okay, plan B could be like hydrogen based cars. Okay, so alternate activities means the company need to analyze the alternate product or any kind of modification in the product so that it will be able to cope up with the external factor. Okay, like in the last example of the smartphone that we have taken, any change in the existing product, okay, like changes with respect to high-end camera, okay, so that will give you an competitive edge in the market. So alternate product is listing down the different product where you can be able to look for. Okay, next is evaluating alternate course. Now try to understand with another example. Like very first example that we have taken, a student want to purchase a laptop. Okay, now alternate course could be that there are too many companies who is offering you the laptop. It could be Lenovo, it could be HP, it could be your Apple, it could be your Samsung, Acer, and too many other brands is giving you the laptop opportunity to purchase. Okay, so this is alternate course of action for the consumers. Okay, now evaluating the alternate course of action, it means you will be doing some research work regarding which will be or what are the different criteria for each brand. Okay, for example, Samsung is providing you the very durable product. Acer is providing you the economical product. Apple is providing you high-tech product. So you are evaluating each of the product or each of the decision course. Next is selecting the best alternative. Now based on certain parameters, okay, the company will be selecting the best alternative which is available in the market, of which the company will be able to provide to the customers. Okay, for example, the Tata Motors may be evaluating different automobile cars or different models, and based on what their capabilities are, based on what the consumers' requirement are, based on the external factors, they will be selecting one or two best alternates. Coming back to the student example, if you want to you have evaluated the different models and you have selected Acer, because Acer comes with all the facilities and it is a economical product as well. So selecting the best alternative means choosing one of the planned activities to proceed with the action part. Now the implementation part. Implementation means the company will be implementing one of the product based on certain parameters. Okay, like based on the screened out planned activity in the last stage, we have selected one of the best planned activity that could be like launched as a new product. Okay, so implementing means selection part, selection with respect to the future course of action. And last one is the follow up. Follow up means once you have launched or implemented the planned activity and you have like commercialized your product, what is the opinion or the overall reaction of the product among the target audiences. Okay, this is the follow up process, or you are measuring the performance of your project or the planned activity that you have done. All right, so these are some of the steps which require in the planning activities. So briefly we'll be discussing about the limitation part as well. Planning leads to rigidity, like the consumers or the marketers, they will be very much restricted toward the planned activity. They will not be able to think out of the box. So this is one of the limitation. Planning may not work in a dynamic environment because the planned activity are so much rigid, and it is like each level of the employee, they will be working in the planned activity only. So that will not work in the changed environment where the dynamic environment is there. Too much of change in the external environment is there, planned activity will not work. In that situation, you have to use instant decision that you have to take in. Third one is planning reduces creativity as well. Because planning is very much rigid, you as an employee cannot think any other factor or any out of the box thinking. So it reduces the creativity of the employee as well. It is very costly affair. Like planned activity, you require to hire some of the very expert in the industry who will give you an opinion and idea based on their observation and the experiences. At the same time, planning activity require a thorough synchronization of all the activities within the departments. So it becomes very costly affair. Planning is time consuming. There are lots of time are consumed in the planned activity because you need to incorporate all the department, all the employees together to decide any future course of action and how the action could be implemented as well. So all these require a very huge time, and that will also add the cost as well. And planning does not guarantee success. As we know that many activities are there is uncertainty because of the external factor. So any activity or any planned activity can change over a period of time because of the sudden change in the external factor. So these are some of the limitation part. And if you have to summarize the module 16, in the module 16 we have understand about the basic concept about the planning. We have get an idea about the feature and characteristics of the planning. We thoroughly discussed the steps and the process part of the planning, and in the concluding part we get an idea about the limitation and the importance of the planning. These are some of the suggested readings, and you can go through it to get an more insight about the planning process. And in the upcoming session we'll be discussing about the more details in the planning. That's all for the session. Thank you.